family. And it's all about the kids. Let's start the game over. Back to the way things were. It's all about the kids. So put your family first. Let's start the game over.
Hey, yo, welcome to Emmy, Encourage Me, I'm Young, with your host, Dr. Calvin T. Mann and Dr. Heather LaRue, who are bringing you the best of the best to change the lives of many. They are the difference that make a difference. And I'm your host, co-host, David Patterson. Welcome to Emmy. Yes. We are here to be, because we're blessed, we want y'all to be blessed. Yes, we do. God is good. Yes. Dr. Heather LaRue, how you doing today?
I am awesome. I think today is going to be an awesome show. Man of Purpose. Oh, yeah.
Yes,
I think our audience is going to kick out of this today.
Yes. All right, Dr. Calvin, the man, the legend, the invincible, the all-knowing brother of brothers. Yes, put your family first. That's what he does. How you doing, brother?
Dave. I'm all right.
You all right?
I'm all right. I'm looking forward to this bubble.
Yeah. I concur. Yes.
Now, how about uplifting? We're not whipping no butts. We're lifting them up.
The encourager.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can I ask the first question?
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, you gotta.
Let me. You don't even have headphones on. You talking about me, what I'm doing. Okay, so today's show is actually around Man of Purpose, and that's MANN of Purpose. So we're here to talk about Calvin today, Dr. Calvin T. Mann, to give people some additional insight. So one of the opportunities that we have is to uplift people who are doing wonderful things in our community, and of course Calvin is no exception. And if you don't know him and you don't know how authentic a man he is, how loyal a friend he is, and how committed he is to boys, men, husbands, and fathers, today you should leave with that answer. You should leave with the knowledge of knowing that it's real, and that there are men out in this world, in this community, who are real. And sitting beside him, of course, is Dave Patterson, who is another real man who is out there serving his community, uplifting others, and making a difference just by standing in the gap, just by showing up in those spaces where we need to see men, and you need to have someone standing by your side. So I'm proud and happy to be in the studio with both of them today. And because I stole the first question. I'm going to ask Calvin something about his backstory, so about his childhood, his journey. But for those of you who may not know Calvin's background and why he is as widespread as he is, I want to say that it probably starts with his family and the number of siblings that he has and those that he has grafted into his family. So, Calvin, tell us about the number of siblings that you have.
Well, good afternoon. Being in the hot seat. So it's honestly, it's 8 boys, 2 girls. They're the first 7 original was my mother and father. Then my father had 3 additional boys.
Wow. And where do you fall in that number?
I am number 4 out of 10.
Sounds pretty close to being the middle child.
Almost.
Yeah. Well, in the 7, I'm directly in the middle, but in the full 10, I'm just a little off.
Okay. And so, what was it like growing up with so many siblings?
Oh, it was live, right? So, a lot of people. It was live, right? We. You can imagine, which is funny because we had charter buses and we had a great neighborhood and, we had a lot of activity, the bike rides, the Schwinn bikes with the sissy poles and the, we took the big wheels. Yeah. We took the big wheels and turned them into go-karts by popping the wheels off the big wheels and putting them on pieces of wood with the U-nails. Got the stick and push each other up the block.
Yes.
With the rope to steer. And in my house, it was always music. And so, I was always singing Michael Jackson and going down the street, getting all the kids together and putting on talent shows in front of the neighbor's house in my drawers. I mean, one time I ran out the house. I was supposed to be watching the kids, and I'm out the house in my underwear. I got tore up for that one.
Always exposing this.
Yeah. Yeah, I got tore up for that one. I got a nice butt whipping for that because I was supposed to be watching my little brothers and sisters, and I saw the back door was open, and I ran out. And so when I ran out, they gave me an excuse to go down the street, and everybody like, "What are you doing?" I'm out here teaching people how to dance in my drawers, and I got a whooping. But we grew up under the entertainment. My mom had groups. The great Derek Brinkley, my mother had them in a group. My dad, music. Popcorn, who's one of the top producers for Motown. We was at Popcorn's house often. I go with my dad. Still to this day, I picked up the wrong cup. I tell this story all the time. I saw this cup of orange juice, right? And I'm thinking it's just orange juice. And here I am, wallowed over because Popcorn had this big swimming pool, and I picked up this cup, and I could smell it to this day. It was gin, right? And so every time, yeah. I was like, they was like, put that cup down. I was like, hey. But growing up with that many siblings, my oldest brother and my older sister, like, we had a ball. Like, I'm talking about fights, jokes, the whole nine. You can't beat. One thing I say about my family, and a lot of people would agree, we're very good people.
Yeah.
And when you talk about that, and you talked about the music and the fun, it reminds me of how we talk about acceptable culture. And, what are the boundaries? What are the values that are planted in you as you are coming up? I know, Dave, I just skipped another question.
No. Okay. Do your thing. I mean, you are the first lady, so what can we say?
Thank you. And I think about that, and I think about what would you say were like if you could give the top 5, what were the top 5 values that were instilled in you and your siblings as children?
Oh, that's easy.
5?
Right? The first thing was respect your elders.
Okay.
At all times. That was mandatory. My parents, grandparents, uncles, they didn't play. Respect your elders. It's excuse me, yes sir. I still say yes sir to people, men, everything. Women, yes ma'am, the whole nine, right? Because that was the value. We were always, our second thing was work. I remember going to the corner store, working at the corner store at 8. All my brothers, we always was doing something. Shoveling snow, cutting grass, learning karate from my mama, which is hilarious. Right? Being able to go in the back and sit on the charter buses and pretend, while, the charter buses was in the back, we're in the back. The number 3 was, right, treat people right. Right? That was an instant butt whooping if you didn't treat people right. Right? And I remember having to go out to fight over an ice cream cone because back then, if you got an ice cream off the truck, if somebody took it from you, right? So mine got taken, my mom, you got to go get it. go get your ice cream. You know what I mean? Don't come in here crying. Go take your butt out there and go get your ice cream. If you want it, go take it back, you know. And so she, you know, at this particular point, you know, we weren't in that, she wasn't the nurturer like that. You know what I mean? Like, she would nurture us, but we were constantly taught to be masculine young men. Don't steal was another value that I learned at a very grave lesson from my brother Beanie. His nickname is Beanie, but my oldest brother Columbus, him and my cousin took jelly beans out the store. And so me and my cousin Willie was watching my brother and my cousin Chucky, right? And me and Willie, we watching, and they come running out the store. We go in, right? You talking about a bad example? Well, my grandfather, who's 6'5", plumber, very say maybe 10 words, gets the call to come, and he took my brothers down and he disciplined them, right? But he didn't say 10 words, right? But that was the power of fatherhood, right? My grandfather, he didn't talk much at all, and when he talked, it was E.F. Hutton. And the other thing was, my grandfather was, you know, he would play with us. One of his favorite songs, and a lot of people, you know, is "Round and Round the Mulberry Bush, the Monkey Chased the Weasel, put us on his lap." That was the most you gonna get out of granddad, because he got to go. He got these 10 kids, you know what I mean? He got to go get that money. And then the last thing, more importantly than anything, family. That fifth thing, we would talk family, right? Regardless to what we did, we were together, and we shared a lot, and we did a lot, and we had a lot from a very little, right? We went from where both of my parents were married to divorce, to where we were getting the canned foods and the toys in the bag as well. But it was something different about us, because we all was hustlers, every last one of us. So, you know, I went from working at the corner store at 8, churning pizza, Dino's Pizza, paper route, always shoveling snow, doing my thing. So I was always on the move, and literally during that time, whereas today, during that time, very gifted. My oldest brother taught us how to put these together, right? And so fighting was something that was a regular routine, which is the thing that I hated the most. And I hate that for kids today, because they can't really learn at school. And I was a smart kid, but you can't really learn in school if you're fighting every day and you're always against each other. And that was the thing in 1977 when the riot happened at Mumford against Mackenzie. We had got the notification that we was moving to the township. So my mom, because it was on the news, jumped in the car. We went and got my brother Curtis, who was a freshman at Mumford playing varsity basketball as a freshman at Mumford High School, and got him in the car and got us in the car, and we ended up moving off of 8 Mile and Prairie to Royal Oak Township on the other side of 8 Mile.
Thank you. Dave, you want to take the next one?
Sure. You know, it's the funny thing that always impressed me was Calvin's last name, Mann, with extra N. You know, I guess he's a necessity to society. You know. But with that being said, I just want to lay a foundation here as I start off with the idea of his last name. You know, Calvin often says a boy becomes a man becomes a husband, and a husband becomes a father, and the beginning of the family. And he's a strong advocate for men's rights. Now, I'm a true believer that women have an amazing place in the world, and they are a difference that make a difference in our lives, obviously, because most men love their mama. But then there's the part about how do we define a man? And since I've been with Calvin, I've watched him grow, I've watched him develop, I've watched him fight the good fight to push that idea of what is manhood so you can be prepared for fatherhood. And in that, I often see that he is a great advocate to be a listener for men, because men need an opportunity to have someone to voice what's going on. But with that being said, Calvin, you coming from a background of masculinity, a background of knowledge and wisdom, a background of service to community, how would you define a man? And I know that's a broad question with a deep definition, but you have set the bar. I mean, I can stand this with confidence, not because you're sitting here with me, because I'm not going to give you smooth you know what I mean?
Right. That ain't you.
No. Right. But I am going to speak what is and what I know. See, this is not what I read in the book or the magazine. This is what I've lived with this gentleman for a long time. And so how would you, through the course of your journey of these 30-something years you've been pushing Good Fathers Only and EMI, how would you give an idea of what the image of a man is with a double N?
That's a great question. So I would have to say the many examples that was before me. Mm-hmm. I think back to the exposure when my Uncle Don bought my first pair of Chuck Taylors, used to take me to his basketball games as an uncle. That was an exposure. And then the neighbors and the men. I was always exposed to masculine men in the community, across the street, the Sonny Mans and the Mr. Thorntons. One of the first foreign cars I saw was a Volvo. Mr. Thornton had that. My grandfathers had Cadillac cars. My dad, Cadillac every year. So I saw men in a way that right along with the makeup. I come from, my mother was a Virgo and my father was a Virgo. So I got a double dose, plus I'm triple dosed Virgo, right? Which is absolutely hilarious.
It is.
Right?
Says the first lady.
Right. But on this, the manhood piece, it was always a journey for me, right? It's exactly what you said. When at 20, when you don't know, at 23, when you become a father, you're scared. At 24, you lose your father. At 28, 29, you lose your mama. Well, 30, really, I lose my mom, right? So in those steps, you had to grow. At the same time, you got a head full of ideas, and you got this wisdom that was pouring out of me because of my parents. So as a young man, I always was helping other people. So it was easy for me to walk young ladies' homes from dances, and although I was a womanizer, right? And it was easy for me to help a young lady walk her home after a dance and not even say anything, right? It was easy for me to step in and be protective of my friends when I could. It was easy for me when a friend called. It was easy for me to respond. But as I moved into manhood, from that, I didn't have the true identity because my dad was gone, and here I am. I don't have much interaction with my dad and the men, and so now I'm making decisions from all of these things. But the examples that they had before me allowed me to move in. And then sports. Sports is a huge part of my family's makeup, right? My uncle was I had two uncles who was All-American, two uncles won state championships. I got brothers and cousins, and so sports was huge in our family. And that allowed us to get a certain charisma. And because we come from our parents, when I became a father, I realized it was something different. I had been transitioned into this fatherhood, and I was blown away by fatherhood. And so, but I was scared at first. And then when he got here, I'll never forget my aunt. She asked me, well, Bubs, that was my nickname, right? Well, Bubs, what you gonna do with your son, right? And this happened to be, I said, my son gonna be this. I spoke life over my son. Same time teaching my son how to read. Same time teaching my daughter how to read. Same time teaching my other son how to read, right? So quality time and reading and those things help cultivate me as a husband. So manhood transitioned into me being a husband. And I think that manhood really is about being consistent. It's about being present, both verbal and physical. Manhood is about, achieving the skill of protection and discipline. And manhood is about care and empathy. When we don't have those things, we become something other than that.
Well said. I think as you went through the journey from being a boy to a man to a husband and a father, you have covered those bases well, because there's always a part of the transition on the journey. And as you transition to each role, you have learned and developed skills through your experiences that are allowed, as you work with the young men and boys in the community, to be able to share that knowledge that you gained, that understanding that you gained, the clarity that you gained, to pull the wisdom to help them be better at making wise decisions. So we're talking about a man with a purpose. Tell us what is the driving factor behind you doing what you do to create Emmy and Good Fathers Only?
Dave,
good question.
Good question. I was that kid. When my mother and father divorced, I tried to run away, all of that. And I was very demonstrative and emotional, and talked about, killing myself. And I was that kid. And when I found sports, right, when I hit middle school and I had a chance, Coach Lado, this is very important in my story, because Coach Lado, when he cut me, it challenged me.
Can you be clarify when he cut you, please?
He cut me from the middle school.
Oh, the middle
Basketball.
school. Okay. Thank you.
Right.
Not a razor.
Not
Right.
razor.
Context. Right.
Well, I did say sports. I come from sports. I didn't say violence. I didn't say nothing about gangs or nothing like that. Right?
Context.
Right.
See how things get lost in translation?
And so it was Coach Lado who literally, here I come in the door to play basketball, because in the city, when I was trying out for football, they said I was too big. And I used to watch my brother play basketball, but in our backyard, we had this basketball on the tree right behind the back door, and we would, regardless to the ball, we was hooping in the backyard. And then my brother Cream trained so hard. I watched him really train. And so when it was my turn and I got cut, he said I had to lose weight. So I lost 12 pounds instead of 10. And I was on the team, but there were some things that I didn't have that other kids had. Other kids had an in-house father. Me, when I evaluate my process, I was just glad to be on the team, get to run, get to play the whole nine. Well, that in turn turned me into something else. And so after my 8th grade year, because I won all the time. I lost one game in the 7th grade with football. 8th grade, we won them all. 9th grade, we won them all. 10th grade, we only tied one. I didn't lose a game until my 11th grade year, which I stopped playing football after a fight with me and my brother. But it was those things that really shaped. And so when I was looking for an answer, because I was still trying to find this answer, and I was cutting hair as a father, and I had gone through the situation with my oldest son and his mom, and I'm at the barbershop with my sister. Me and my sister had a shop on 9 Mile in Ferndale, and I'm cutting hair there. And at the time, I could really draw logos and all of that. And so I was cutting for the township. And anyway, I go work in this daycare center where it's nothing but white kids. Because I never understood. It really dawned on me when I got older. I never understood why we use the N-word. It just always amazed me.
The worst word in the dictionary.
Right. And it was, its intent was to cause harm. We turned it good, but Proverbs 17:13 says if you take something, make it positive, never leave your house, right? And that's a very heavy proverb. And so I kind of started putting these pieces together. My mother used to say when I was young, take your philosophizing ass outside. That's what my mother would say. Because I would go talk to her and have these conversations. I said, well, Ma. And I go to have these conversations. She was like, take your philosophy. But it was those things. And then the daycare is when God gave me encouragement. I'm young. And I'm telling you, in 1992, I became the varsity girls basketball coach. I was the youngest varsity basketball coach. I had no clue. But my drive was from what happened to me. That the people that had me, there was more to life. So that's why I went to coaches clinics when I was young. So I catapulted my mindset further, and that's why development became so important. Because once I went to coaches clinics, I understand the power of these men and listening to them and them spending time with me. When I came back, it was hard for you to tell me anything. I could teach a duck how to walk, you know what I mean? And so at that point, for me, these things is what shaped how Encourage Me, I'm Young was going to go forward. Because when it came to me, it was like words. It was like, hey, encourage me, I'm young. And the door opened and blew the door open and the words come in. I called my uncle. That's how Encourage Me, I'm Young started. But then as we were coaching and we were putting T-shirts on our basketball team and people would stand around and watch our team warm up because they would have a powerful information on the back of the shirt. And I'm talking, it'd be a crowd around our boys warming up. They had a lot of attention because we was playing the toughest schedule. We'd play anybody because we'd have our kids prepared for the opportunity, just the chance at winning, right? It wasn't guaranteed that we was the most talented team. It's just that our job was to prepare them for the opportunities that would come from this work. And that's what it taught me, because that's what was taken away from me. I always say if I had Calvin Mann as a basketball coach, Calvin Mann would have been a completely different basketball player, right? Because the application of care was there. But the biggest thing that of gaining resilience and everything came from middle school to date. And so all those things is what built Encourage Me, I'm Young. So all those experiences is why I'm able to help a boy, right, and see, because I've had thousands and hundreds of boys before I even got the nonprofit, and so using that gift in that way versus using it in a way that is driven by ego.
Okay, that's awesome. I'm going to shift. I'm going to throw this ball into another one of your courtyards, Calvin. Tell us about your musical background. Tell us about Captain Hook. Tell us about that journey of you as a performing artist.
So in high school, it was Miss Corrigan. In high school, I got to perform all the time. I got to perform magicals, go singing everywhere, dress up in these funny outfits, right? Like the Three Stooges with the feathers on the hat. And we go sing in Birmingham in front of all these rich people and Hark go the bells, sweet super bells, all of that. And so from there, just having the opportunity to really just sing, did a complete tour of the school conference as a ninth grader, grew up singing. Me and my brothers, worked on a couple of albums. We did some performance, had a live band. The Captain Hook piece came in because my brothers never really listened, right? But I always had this knack for taking a song and hooking it. And so this is a great story, right? So they're shooting a movie called The Brewster Projects. And so the Brewster Projects movie, right, they got a soundtrack. I'm out there watching. At this particular point, I'm on something completely different. I'm not into coaching, I'm in the Cal. Completely. Getting my name braided in my head. I'm gone. Right, all ego. And so we decided we're going to go to the studio. It was a studio off of 696 in Ferndale. It was a nice studio. And so we putting together the soundtrack. So you're talking Regina Bell, Trick, Mike Shorey, Snoop Dogg sent some girls, right? You're talking, you got my man Cheeks from the Lost Boys, right? And we're putting together this soundtrack. They're putting it together, right? And so we're in the studio, and my brother and them, they're in the studio. They got this beat, and I had the hook like 2 hours ago. And they still ain't figured out the hook. Right. And so me and Cheeks are sitting next to each other. So my brother and them leave to go out and do their thing. They going outside to drink, smoke, whatever the case may be, take a break. The producer is still in there messing with beats. And so I lean over to Cheeks and I tell him, I say, it's the double B flow, right? And I tell him the hook. And he was like, what? Man, you had this, the whole, yeah, I got the hook, right? So he goes in the booth. I tell him the hook. He does the hook. It's the double B flow, right? And so when he opened up to start talking, he said, all right, Captain. And tell Cream, though. So when my brother come in to sit down, and he in there, he's like, yeah, we got the hook, we gone, right? And so they doing the song, and he say that, and my brother look over at me like this. I said, right? And so the alias Captain Hook, that's where that come from, because I can take a track, hook it. I can even write music, right? I've written music and have a few songs, right? Oh, yeah. But that's where that came from. And so then I've also, helped a couple of rap groups, got involved there, put some hooks down in there, and did some other stuff. But music is something that we always did. I remember my brother and them, I was online for a fraternity, and my brother told me, you either gonna sing for the Lord or dance with the devil.
Choose this day who you
right,
serve.
I said, all right, man, all right. So, but that's kind of where it comes from. I'm anxious to get in the studio. Even right now, it's some music in my spirit, and especially around this time, I got some stuff in my spirit, but I got to find the right music and the right tracks.
So what is it like to have a song burning in you like that? What does that feel like, and how do you pour that into a project, a music project?
It's for me, it's silence, it's creativity, it's space. Sometimes it's being left alone. Leave me alone with a bunch of music. I remember one time, it was coming out the door, and my brother Curtis had a reel of beats. It's a reel of beats. He playing them from the car, and they had just got from the studio. And we outside of my brother Carl's house. And I told my brother Corn, I said, I'm going to hook every track. Every time you play it, I'm going to hook a track. And I'm talking, I was going. And then Corn got the flowing, and it turned into a cipher, right? But that's always in me.
What's a cipher?
A cipher is kind of, it's when, people are in a space and say, Chantel, she start off with a beat. I got this beat, and then you put something in on it, and then Dave put something in on it, and then I come in and put something, and it all comes together in that space. And depending on how it turned out, you either start over or you go at it again. And so I was always holding ciphers with music and everything. I got some real nice tracks out there that that just never got put out, right? But from ciphers and things like that. So
talk a little bit about your inspirational music, that encouraging music. Like, I know that you have you're on a I don't know if you can even say that one of the up and coming artist that is awesome and amazing. I think he was out of Texas.
You talking about Saul Paul?
Right. I don't know if you're able to share.
Yeah, Grammy nominated Saul Paul. Yeah. What you want me to share?
One of the that you have tracks with him.
Yeah, we got tracks. We also got plans, right? But his gift has been so into children in different places, and we were on the phone not too long ago, and I'm talking about we on the phone pumping each other up. We ready to run through the telephone, right? We're turned into a 5-minute. We're supposed to be a 5-minute call, turned into scripture and conversation and motivation. But the brother is a great.
He's a great artist.
He's a great artist, and what he does for people, especially from where he come from, and how right now that you would think somebody who was alone like this those things would factor. No, that's not the case. No, he's alone, but him and his wife and the story and God is really blessing them. And he was, our last conversation, he was right, because we just heard it again before we came in about focus. And we really got into it about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how many songs would you say that are available for people to find, and where can they find them?
4, Amazon Music.
And what are those songs?
ME theme song, Blessed, We Got to Help, and Put Your Family First.
Okay. And so what about the song with Saul Paul?
We have not put that out.
Oh, okay.
We did not put that out. I'm trying to convince him to come to Detroit where we can shoot it. The track is called Thank You, and I think it's a very powerful song.
It's powerful. It's powerful.
It's very powerful.
All right. Dave, you want to take it?
Yeah, a man of purpose, as we've seen Calvin tell us about his journey. We can see the diversity that comes with that. A man of music, that soothes the soul. A man who has been driven by sports to develop his skill sets and leadership. So, Calvin, I'm going to stick back with the ideal of the man. In your transition, you talked about relationships. What would you say is the key factor that you've learned through your experience with relationship, dating, interacting with people, now having your wife and your family in a different capacity, because you have other kids too. But what would you say would be the key factor for a man to understand in going into a relationship?
Himself. We have to know ourselves, and too many of us don't know ourselves. We have I didn't know myself going into a relationship. Relationship was supposed to save me. But in that relationship, in my first initial for my son, I was working 3 jobs. I was cutting hair, coaching, and working at the recreation, helping people get jobs, right? And I was young. She was older than me. And I was into this thing. And I'm often, it's funny, Dave, because you don't tell people your story. I'm often accused as the person, I'll never forget my brother and them said, what you do now?
Right.
I'm often accused as the one that has caused damage. And in hindsight, okay, as a man, I'll take that, right? Because, that's part of the responsibility as a leader. When a relationship fails as a leader, you have to take your part in that, right? Although many people take advantage of that, right? Because the expectation is if it fails, it's on you. That's a hard thing, right? For today's male species, because he has too much feminine energy. And he's emotional, he's reactionary, he's violent, he's all of those things. That's what has fueled him. Me, I had men, and when I say that, I come from if we break up today, I got this many women to make up with, right? That's the philosophy we were given, that when you break up with somebody, it's a whole list of women that you can recover with, and you can recover just by going through them. It don't matter what the case. That was the philosophy that we were given.
Right.
Well, that philosophy has turned into even worse because there was no guidance to that. So for me, I wanted to make sure that my guys and my brothers and things like that, as I matured through that, don't do that, right? And so I wanted to make sure that the boys behind me didn't go through that, because it's almost a waste of yourself and time, right? And so it really causes more harm to you, right? Because then you lose the ability to take accountability. You lose that ability to take accountability. You know what? It's my fault. You lose the accountability in that. Well, no, it was her. It's her. And for her, the comfort is it's him. And now today, what has happened is no one has accountability. Well, we were taught to be accountable, and I was taught to be accountable. This your mess. My ain't out there. My ain't saying used to say them your ugly eyes, right? And that's what you have to be accountable to. And relationships is such a pure thing. I was saying the other day to Heather that love is compromise, and we don't understand that. Love is compromise, right? What does it look like? Where does it go? And for me, it was, again, I had men, and I had men who had responsibilities and jobs and took care and showed, and that's a thing. And then, to be honest with you, relationships and friendships, thousands of them, right? It's something different about, I'm talking about every one of my brothers and sisters, right? That I know, the top 7, 8 of us, thousands of friends. You know what I mean? And so I think that comes from who we came from, that we benefited from the greatness of our parents and grandparents, that somehow that nature brought more people to us.
You come from a background of building community and servitude.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. And again, as you point out about relationship accountability and responsibility, I always say people can't give you what they don't have, and they can't teach you what you don't know. But it was apparent that you had teachers and you were teachable. And because you were teachable, you received the understanding through some trials and tribulation, because nobody on this planet ever ain't going to go through some trials and tribulation. And most of the stories in the Bible would tell us that people had to go through something to get through something. And many of the characters who may have started off well, even started off bad, they still had to go through life transition to be able to be effective as they mature along their journey. So my next question is to you. When it comes down to rearing children, and we're going to be a little specific about boys, and you said about they're too emotional, too reactive, effeminate energy. How would you look at starting off rearing a young fellow, a boy, if you will? How would you look at approaching that young boy to help him to start his journey towards maturity? And I will start with spiritual maturity, emotional maturity, and as we move forward, we can talk physical and all those things. But the two foundational ones are emotional and spiritual maturity. Because let me say this about Calvin. As tough as he looked, and he is the man, this brother does show he has an empathetic, caring, compassionate, loving heart. And I've seen this brother, I'm getting ready to blow him up now, so don't get it twisted. I've seen this brother shed tears when he talk about the needs of others and what he want to do. He's authentic. Now, I ain't gonna tell you get in his face now, but on the wrong day. But the brother has a beautiful heart. But if you could answer that question.
So, Dave, I think we have to change the makeup.
Okay. I
think it's the makeup of understanding as the male, as the father figure, fathering, father, provider, right? I think we have to change. For me, it's always the beginning, teaching them to pray and let them see you pray. It's always about your relationship with God, letting them hear you talk about God, show them God, and be an example to that, right? It's the same thing with how you treat their mom and women, right? Because the parenting is a teacher's job, but for men and fathers, it's the presentation of how there's some very dope men, dope fathers out here. You're one of them, and there a number of fathers that you can learn from, which was my whole point for Good Fathers Only, was to get men together and learn from them, so fatherhood would improve, including my fatherhood, right? But there is a certain amount of wisdom in learning and guiding through those principles for a young person. Maturity to a young kid happens because maturity is present and consistent.
Amen.
If a child by the age of 3 gets 85% of their brain, how do you teach them to be mature, right? Well, it's a lot of things goes into that. But your example is the greatest teacher of cultivating the seed, which is your seed. For a stepfather, it's his example. It's making sure that you still apply fatherhood principles, right, that he could then see and learn from, making sure that he understands that. From a mentor, it's having a standard of being authentic and caring and results driven, making sure that the kid does feel a certain type of way about your relationship, because he's learned so much and gained so much from you as a mentor, and how you've guided and shared and reciprocated things as a mentor. As a uncle, it's the same thing. Being involved, pick them up. Make sure you teach them some of the principles you know that they're not getting in the household. You kind of know what's not happening when you're an uncle and you see, or that type of thing. But as a grandfather, it's the same thing. As a grandfather, we can enjoy them, but we have to still teach them, because we know that there's some issues and some things there that they might not be getting from the father, regardless of if the father is a good father or not. A grandfather has years on the father, and so that's more years of fathering. And so that's just how, going by it. I'm watching Dallas, my grandson, who really, they say he's autism 1, whatever the case may be. But just day before yesterday, screen time me, this boy drew a football. She said, well, where he see a football at? I said, at the program. Now, how long ago was that? And I'm talking about this kid can draw at 3. Faces, ears, eyes, know what he's doing, and really drawing. Well, he drew this football with the strings and everything. Wow. Or you know what I mean? And so his vocabulary is picking up. And so, I'm always articulating the words repeatedly with him. Right? Because eventually it's going to latch on. And when it catches up, this is going to be a brilliant kid. Right? But as a grandfather, I have to instill the discipline and stuff where the father is not at.
Dr. Heather?
Wow. That's such rich information when you hear a father's, his manhood journey and his fatherhood journey. I think one of the areas of interest that I would like for you to share, and I think this is another area that men don't really talk about, and to the degree I'm asking you to talk about it. What types of things do you do for fun? Where are your interests? Start with the barbecue.
Well, we're not going to start with barbecue.
I want you to feed the interest of the barbecue grill.
Feed the interest of Dr. Hair, who loves his barbecue.
Right.
While you're playing.
You can start there, because I know how interested you are in the grill master. So I'm just helping you out here.
All right. So, okay, barbecue. Yes, I have my own little recipe, the whole nine, my own, and so it's a good rib. My aunt Nez, who her and my uncle Dwayne had taught me to barbecue at 10, right? I remember I had to walk home some ribs from Roseline to Prairie, right, to my mama. Well, you know, one of them slabs didn't make it today. By the time I got to the house, I got barbecue sauce all over my face. I got in trouble for that, but
lesson learned again.
Right. But that's one of the things. The thing I do I love to laugh, right? Good. For me, laughter is everything. So if I can get with my brothers, I'm telling you, that is when I get with my brother Corn, my brother Carl, my brother Cream, right? Even when we get with Colum, you know what I mean? When I get with my brothers, that group is on. So it's jokes about your feet, toes, toenails, eyelash, whatever. It's jokes. And we are having, and my mother used to hate it. Yo, just like your daddy, you know, she would say. Always got to make fun of something. You know what I mean? But that's who we are, right? Wisdom, wisecrack. You know, it's funny because I call myself going to be a comedian, Dave. So I'm on stage at Mark Ridley's, right? This is a whole nother thing, right? I'm on stage at Mark Ridley's and I'm doing my skit, and my sister, my sister Sue, she down there clowning. She done fell out. Oh my God. She falling out. You're right, corny. When I come off the stage that day, soon as I come off, we go in the bag. The thing is over with. On the way out the door, it's Snapfest. It's jokes. I'm talking about we can't get in the car, and it's jokes. You know what I mean? And so, laughter is my thing. Winning all game nights. We have game nights on Wednesday nights. Winning those things is terrific. Love like winning 95%. Yes,
and that's the story he took.
No.
For real, right? for real, man.
Right. And then you know, I like walking. That's what I do when I go for a walk, or you know, I'll jump in the car and go for a ride. If she let me off the leash, I'll jump in the car. And I'll get in the car and put on me some neo soul music and drive, and by the time I get finished, I came up with something, added to or had more information to go in, to the movement, because it's those spaces in that time where I'm able to be creative. Yeah, I like, that's how I did the children's books, and like I love creating things. Like I'm looking forward to the release of my book, All Ingredients Count. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And I'm releasing it on my birthday. We're gonna do a day party and everything. Yeah.
Okay, so I know we're wrapping up. So tell us about some of the projects that you have going on presently and some that are coming up.
Nope.
Oh, see, I'm talking about the what is it? Not the draft party.
Oh yeah, the draft party. The draft party is next. What is it? Thursday, April 24th, at the Central Hub, 22114. I got to get Chantel. She need the flyer, don't she? And
so you had the book release coming up.
Book release on my birthday.
On your birthday.
September 14th, which is on a Sunday this year. Yeah. We'll do a day party. I'm going to do a book signing for all my books, though, because I hadn't did a book signing. So we're going to lay all the books out and do a book signing and eat a brunch, have a conversation. I'm speaking in Washington, D.C. on June 1st through 3rd. I got my brothers going to be there with me. Yeah. Dave and Gerald and his partner. And
what about Lean on the Father? And
Lean on the Father is the last at the end of this month, last Saturday every month. That's Dave and Melvin head that up. Lean on the Father. And
Off the Chest?
Off Your Chest is a collaboration with Brig in Detroit and their men, where the second Thursday every month. It's food conversation and things about what men need.
Okay.
And
the next time you're barbecuing?
I just did.
And the next time
barbecued
you're barbecuing? and the next time you're barbecuing?
I just did. You hear me, Chantel? I just did.
Now we're talking about the next time, not the last time.
I just said to you, I just did her oven, right? Because she was in a coma. She came in the door at 5 and didn't move till the next day at 8.
She was intoxicated by the rib.
Gone. I had to cook it. I said, I'm going to go on and cook this rib right here in the oven so she'll have it the next day. Yeah, and so I tried to wake her up, but no.
Cumberland.
Yeah, I was off.
I think I should
and every now and then,
every salivate.
Every now and then, she go to sleep till tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, but and I think that's really. I know we got the brunch for the women with the brunch. I got a great idea for that.
The
fatherhood brunch by the women, by you and Crystal. I think that's gonna be dope. We already got the spot for that. I nailed the spot for that today. And so I think that's really about it right now.
Okay, I'll let you go with that because there are
there
lots
you go.
of.
So,
oh, nice.
Yeah. So we're gonna be at the Spizzy for the NFL draft party. We're gonna be selling Lions gear. My man, everybody has one podcast gonna be doing their thing with their sports crew. And then we're gonna have the big screen up and networking and have a table full of Lions gear and raising money and doing our thing. It's BYOB. It's a networking event, so bring your flyers. I'm gonna put up the event, so you got to register because we're not gonna have a gang of people just running in. So you're gonna have to register on that Eventbrite. And I'm trying to get a Detroit Lion to pop in.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So
how many books do you have right now, Calvin?
8.
You have 8 books, okay. I mix
2 journals. We got me and Dave in on the collaboration that went number 1.
3 times.
3 times. So that's 3. I got the 2 books on fatherhood. And then I got the 2 Oprah and Luther books, which I'm about to come. I've been working on the story of the wise Mo, his mentor, which is sweet. And then all ingredients count.
Yeah.
Right.
I got another one already done, but I got to go through it, and so we got to put together. But all ingredients count.
Well,
and then I'm writing another one, media marginalization. Then I was thinking about doing something, finally getting to my autobiography.
What I would like people who may not know is that not only are you a national speaker, but you are an international speaker. And that, your voice is echoing around our world, and the work that you do and how you show up in spaces and how you uplift boys, men, husbands, and fathers in the family. How you
and
are, well, I'm saying the whole family.
And the ladies.
how you uplift the family. And, I think that's really important. It's a really important position to take, especially in the time that we're in. It's not about the separation. It's about how we unify, how that unit is a family. And that's all parts of that family. And so I think it's... I'm just closing out with my closing comment.
Okay.
Thank you. So I just think it's phenomenal. I know you to be a phenomenal person, authentic man, and so I'm glad to be a part of this journey and share it with you.
Thank you, baby.
And you can reach me at yourinspired with a D, yourinspiredjourney.com, or you can reach me by phone at 313 759-7855.
Brother Dave.
Yes, my closing comment. I would say, it's been said that you're either a meaningful Pacific or one in generality. If you're a meaningful Pacific, you become a man with a purpose. And Calvin has shown us through all his diversity and all his endeavors, he's a man with a purpose. And God said to us, I know the plan I have for your life, plan for you to prosper, not for harm, that you may have hope for the future. Well, when you have a man like Calvin who's moving with a purpose, he helps contribute to God's plan to give everybody hope for the future. You can reach me at FM AM 4 Men About Men on Facebook, and you can reach me at drome7@yahoo.com.
Well, thank you both.
We should have roasted you like the rest of the comedians do, right?
Right. you would need a lot more information to get that roast off. I was telling somebody, if you roast me, I'm roasting your ass back.
Yeah,
I got jokes.
That's why I didn't go there.
Right.
I'm going to go, I can't take it.
I got jokes. We thank you for tuning in to Put Your Family First. Today was good. I appreciate somebody asking me some questions that's different away from fatherhood and things like that. So it was nice. I appreciate that. Getting to know me is a good thing. I am funny. I am caring. I am encouraging. But most of all, I am loving. And so I really appreciate today. Thank you for tuning in. Tune in next Monday. We'll have a special guest from North Carolina, Jasmine. He's a good dude. And it's going down. So we'll see you next Monday.